And we're working with the ajna, we're working with the element of the celestial body, or the biofield of the celestial body, and the element of sheer stillness, absolute stillness. So I wanted to just delve a little bit deeper into what are some of the associated areas and some of the imbalances that might be experienced in this area. Yesterday we talked about illusion and delusion as we work to gain the clarity and the intuition that's offered to us in this area. Sometimes it's said to an imbalance can be seen in hyperthyroidism and sleep disorders, meaning the serotonin. I certainly knew I had the effects of 2 nights ago of the full moon and the eclipse. I had maybe 2.5 hours sleep. I was what I call night dreaming, but I was awake. And I was foreseeing stuff in my future with regards to the membership and seeing the experience and experiencing the experience and sort of test driving the experiences. It was really surreal. I wasn't panicking because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't panicking as I checked my phone and it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I normally am up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. And I chose to let myself to set the alarm clock in case I needed it for 7:30, and ended up getting up at about 6:30, I guess. So the dreams are a big part of this area as well. And looking at the dreams as a link to the consciousness, your consciousness and your unconscious mind. They present alternatives to ordinary reality. So it allows us a greater curiousness. It all comes back to our own curiosity and delving into it a little bit, sitting with it for a little bit, and meditating with it for a little bit and asking, getting that ground-centered aligned place again and again and again and again. And when you think, what should you do? You think of, again, get back to the ground center and align. Or even asking yourself what, one of my favorites, as I've often said, is what would love do here? Well, what would calm do here? What would calm do here? What would relaxation do here? So then it's with this curiosity, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do here? What is my intention? What is the end result that I want for you and I and everybody that comes into the membership, the Rise Up membership in the back end, where we're doing bigger work. We're doing group healings. What do you want? I would love to know from you. What would really be your turning point to say that I must be there, like I want to be there, and offer a weekly or a monthly yoga sequence that we can work with for the month. Offer a monthly group healing. Offer weekly PDFs, weekly slides where we can be working congruently at the same time and at the same pace, but not overdoing it, so that we can get the work done, so we can just focus on that one thing. That was the beauty when I'm working with Tiffany with the professional series for the Healing Oil Collective, is just working with one oil every month and doing a meditation with that oil and getting the data and the scientific data on the oil and getting the properties of the oil and looking at the clinical studies of the oil. Now, certainly we wouldn't do that in our group because that's just solely focused on essential oils, but sort of the same concept of that and looking how we can bring it into our lives efficiently. So, what does Anadeath Judith have to say about the dreams portion? I love to see what everybody else has to say. Dreams open the way for us to see things in a new light, revealing hidden feelings and understandings, desires and needs. Parts of our rejected selves sometimes show up in our dreams. Unused talents and missing pieces of our wholeness. But they're also often profoundly irrational images that uproot the conscious mind and open it to something larger. Dreams often bring us answers to problems that our conscious mind could not solve, and so become powerful spiritual teachers. And they do. Sometimes I find that the dreams are quite irrational. I do have a scribbler and a pen beside my pillow. I'm left-handed, so it's in the center of the bed. And I night write. So when I have something that comes up on my head, even as for this, blissbee.me came through to me in the middle of the night. And I wrote it down, and then I needed to wake up and actually go online immediately and book the name and see if it was available. But I've drawn symbols, I've written numbers, I've done a whole bunch of different things, especially when I've been in a really deep spiritual retreat or some level of awakening. And you might consider this to be sort of a study in awakening, or a curiosity in awakening. So as we take in new information, the conscious mind, the unconscious mind doesn't really know how to work with it. So then it comes out in our dreamscapes, and then that's where you can simply just write, note that start a fresh page every night before you go to bed, because then you can kind of gauge when you're half asleep where the top of the page may be, and then you've got the whole, actually two sides to write on. I found that to be helpful because I found sometimes I was writing over my writing and had difficulty deciphering it the next morning. And then I would transpose it into my journal so that I have it in my journal, and then I keep tabs on my journal for what I consider to be the really important information. All right, let's bring our feet to our floor, the floor where you're at. Turn on all our sensories and engage your diaphragmatic breath. So the most important, takeaway, it's all important, but engaging the deep diaphragmatic breath, having this be your everyday breath. As we step further into learning new types and forms of breaths, it's important to have this one. This one is definitely a mainstay breath. It's your everyday breath. And massage those organs, especially if it's 5:30 where you are and you've just woken up, let's activate those organs. I do a bed yoga before I even get out of bed. And I do that lying in breath to release all the stale CO2. So if you inhale, and on an exhale, just really and get that deepest, darkest breath out of you, so that stale CO2 that might be just trapped down there because you don't have a full exhalation like that each time you breathe is then released. And then it's important to take a nice deep breath and get that new oxygen breath so it doesn't feel like there's a depletion within the body after that extensive exhalation. Let's go down into the central core of the earth with our etheric feet, with our tree roots. And allow that Mother Earth energy to come up into our 2 feet and into our legs and our lower pelvis and our hips, up into our abdomen, into our lungs, washing over our shoulders. Allow all the weight of the world to wash off the shoulders, down the arms to the hands, up in through the gateway of the neck, through the head. Allow it to wash over the cranium. Access the portal on the top. Allow the Mother Earth energy to come out the top, waterfall out and over the body, 360 degrees. If you wanted to skip that part, you could. You could just bring it up to the top and allow and sit and come into centering. I like it because it turns on the sensory. When I'm in the shower, I can feel it on the outside of my body as well. It works for me. If it works for you, keep it. If it doesn't work for you and you want to shorten it up a little bit, then you can remove it. But what's most important is that this full sensory gets us fully engaged in the process. Come into the centering, that still point. You can do that just by simply moving in a circle back and forth, side to side, and find the comfort in this still point. Go, wow, this really is a still point. As I align, as you take your resolve and your align, what is it that you want to align in today? What is it that you are aligning? Or just simply aligning with divine. Simply taking this line goes from the hair that we were just at with our feet, in through the perineum, between the sit bones, the spine, into the head, comes out the head, and releases a fine line into past the solar system, the Milky Way, the cosmos, the universe, a fine line to divine creator source energy, Father Sky, higher self, universal force, and call in this golden white light. Call it in, open to receiving. Receive it in through the crown chakra and into the head. And experience it. Don't just do it in a robotic way. Try to really experience it. No, don't. I encourage you to just to experience it. And into the head, and into the throat, and the shoulders, and the arms, and the hands. And into the chest, and breathe in this divine love. Allow this expansion to come into your body so that all the contractions from yesterday are gone. Allow it to expand, 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 expand. Reach your arms out as far as they can, extending your fingertips to the biggest points, and look at how big your wingspan is. Look at the capacity and beyond that you have for love, for holding a container for yourself and the world, and being part of this, being part of the solution of the love that the world needs. The love that the world needs, the love that you need, the love that your family needs, the love that your neighbors in your city, in your province, in your country needs, the love that the earth needs, all the animals, all the waterways. We have that capacity. It's huge. And the vibration extends even further. That's just our physical body, and into the lower abdomen and the hips and the legs. And let's go into the So-hum. Engaging So on the inhalation, and exhalation is hum. Increasing the inhalation a little bit longer and the exhalation a little bit longer, so that we can get to that 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just slow and smooth, no pause, no jerks, no noise, and no judgment. I invite you to bring that So-hum into the third eye area. I was in northern India in 2017, up in Badrinath, beautiful Himalayan town, very sacred town. And they had the opportunity as our yogic group for the Himalayan tradition to sit with one of the highest priests there. and an opportunity to ask him a question. So I asked him, as I sat there before him, what he would consider to be the most important piece to my work, my evolution, my self-realization, my bhakti to the lineage, my devotion to my sacred practice. And he said, the third eye. The third eye. But there's nothing to be strained here. You're not straining anything, anytime, anywhere in the yogic practice. You're stretching it. You're creating a new edge, but you're never straining it. So if you're feeling a strain here, relax. Just relax. You can try just massaging it. You don't want to get to a burning or anything. That's not what the goal is. The goal is just to simply sit, to draw it in, to access that pineal gland, which accesses that pituitary gland. Let's sit one more minute in silence. Bringing in the so and exhaling the hum. Thank you so much for sitting with me today. We'll take our cards for an offering. So the key here is to take a look at where your ego shows up today. Look at what may be an illusion and delusion and see what the patterns are. What's the automatic response? What's the automatic thinking? And what do you want it to be? And with the beauty of this full moon that's passed this past night and this eclipse, that shadows, the eclipse is about the shadow. Pen to paper, digits to phone. See where you want to let go, where you want to lift up, where you want to rise up, and do it. And let's hope. Hope is our first area of the evolution. From hope gives us the optimism. Hope gives us the belief. Hope gives us the expectations of our actions. The hopes of today are the realizations of tomorrow. What do you hope for? Our hopes are never too great for manifestation. We cannot conceive of anything that cannot be. Our hopes are never too great for manifestation. We cannot conceive of anything that cannot be. My hope is for peace, love, and bliss for all. And that we are one and we see each other as one. And we treat every single thing with dignity and respect that each human or living thing deserves. That will be my resolve today at the top of the mat. I hold you all in my heart. I love you. Make it a great day.